Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you live from COG Studios on a Wednesday night. That's right, Wednesday, July 10th, ahead of the LA Galaxies. Let's see, July 12th, Friday night game against the San Jose Earthquakes, kicking off at 8 p.m. Another rematch of Cali-Clasico. The second time in about 3 weeks the two teams will play against each other. So we're certainly going to get you ready for that. And what that means for the LA Galaxy coming down is the Galaxy gets some players back. We have some rumors still floating around. In fact, it's just one rumor now, really, at this point. And so we're going to do our best to sort of break down all of our understanding on that as well. We have injury updates, and I have some of the weirdest rules you've ever heard for the Leagues Cup, and that's going to be fun, too. In order to help me do all of that, he's back. That's right. We can't get rid of him now, actually. Please welcome back to the show, Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how's it going, buddy?
It's going all right. I'm back again.
I was going to say.
Yeah, another week goes by. Still don't have that Michael Araujo intro. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you not have his number?
Yeah, I must have lost it. You know what? Pretty soon, by the way, you keep complaining and the way he listens,
he's going to just send it. Well, if you're listening, Mike, and I know you are, send that in.
Yeah,
make Josh do some work here.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of work.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm an official. I'm a man.
All
I have
right.
a Dodge Stratus.
Before we get too crazy here, we are decked out. If you're watching the live stream, we are decked out in our El Silencio Mezcal.
We're shameless
kits. We are shameless shills. I mean, I don't know what else to say it.
Yeah, we're not a difficult sell.
No, we're not at all. I would direct everybody, and we're going to talk about a little bit about Eric's experience here shortly at a very secretive place that you will find out exactly where it's at if you head to the article on. A good job by keeping it secret, by the way.
I was going to say,
complete with pictures. You could have drawn a map, maybe. That would have helped.
I guess it's counterintuitive, but I left a little bit behind the veil.
But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Eric's experience there, being hosted by El Silencio Mezcal. We're also going to be joined a little later by the national brand manager for El Silencio Mezcal, Natalia Garcia Burke. And I think during the course of this and throughout there, Eric and I are also going to figure out a way to get some of our listeners into the Speakeasy coming up.
I was going to say, some of the lucky few. I was one of the lucky few who was able to experience. Maybe if you're listening now, or you're watching live, you could be one of the lucky few. So we'll figure something out.
It could happen. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. It's one of those things.
We've been sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, I was going to say, and also with these jerseys, I think we should go without saying, and it's our disclaimer, but also really it's our business model as well. That if you want to, have anything on this show, you send us free stuff, and we're pretty much
we'll wear it.
We'll wear it immediately. It's not,
especially if it's a good looking jersey like this. That just makes it way easier.
And it fits.
It fits nice.
Anyway, if you're great podcasting, by the way, you really look how nice these are. Look how good we look.
We're on YouTube. This is a live stream. People are watching this, right?
They are. There's like 5 people.
Well, there you go.
So anyway, so we have that as well. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. But I wanted to just sort of kick things off as we get ready for San Jose. Obviously, it's another Cali-Clasico matchup. But this is also the first of 2 rivalry games here in back-to-back Fridays, as the LA Galaxy really are pointed in the next 2 games at LAFC whenever you think about all this. So we're going to get you ready for that, understand all the injury updates and everything that we can give you on all the rumors, sort of how it goes. But let's start with maybe a surprise win. It wasn't really a surprise to me whenever you saw who was nominated. But Zlatan Ibrahimovic wins another award. He wins an ESPY. For MLS Soccer Player of the Year. Are you, or what was it?
Best MLS Player.
Best MLS Player.
Yeah, they had a lot of categories. They had International Soccer Player. They had Women's Player, Men's Player. So it was interesting the categories that they had there. If you actually go and look up the 2019 ESPYs, there's a pretty big list of nominees and categories. But for Best MLS Player, who else but the Lion? Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
This is really more, whenever we said it, this is more for like last year than it really was. Like it's a calendar year thing, so you can sort of cut it off in the middle somewhere.
And when you talk about ESPN and the sound bites and the highlights, I mean, you look who else was on there: Joseph Martinez, Wayne Rooney, Aaron Long, and Zlatan. I mean, out of those 4 players, who is ESPN going to give that award to and recognize for their efforts? And ESPN being a visual medium, and he's been on the network a bunch of times doing interviews. So of course, when you saw the nomination list, it wasn't going to be anyone else. But for what he's done over the last 2 seasons, he's deserving of some award.
Well, yeah, I mean,
something. He needs to get something.
What I mean, I'm sure
sure
the man is not like void of awards or confidence whenever it comes down there. We're also up on the website coming up here after I get done recording this because it's been a crazy day for me, just with regular work and everything else that sort of goes around it. We're also going to have an article up from Larry Morgan about his time at training. I have some quotes here that we're going to be able to talk to as well, so we can give you that training update. But before we get too far away from things, for me, I have to just briefly share some of this Leagues Cup craziness.
The Leagues Cup.
I mean, I know. Listen,
I see a very thick manual. Again, great pod.
Great pod. Look how thick that is. Wow.
But again, considering this is a tournament with 8 teams?
8 teams.
That's a lot of paperwork for a tournament with 8 teams.
17 pages.
Okay.
Somebody asked me what size the font was. From what I can tell, it looks like 11 or 12. I mean, it's normal.
It's all within range.
Normal, yeah, actually, you know what? It might be 10.
It looks 10 to me.
It might be 10.
9 or 10.
But there are 17 pages of competition guidelines for the Leagues Cup. Now, I, of course, read every single page.
That's why we're here. Yeah. We're here to give you the in-depth analysis of the Leagues Cup that you've been wanting and clamoring for.
There may have been times. This is actually, I read this more as a comedy than anything else.
Okay.
I thought it was humorous at times. There's some weird stuff in here. I will tell you this right now. You talked about the 8 teams. The 8 teams is interesting because the 8 teams only is right now for this year. All right.
Okay. Oh, is there stipulations?
They reserve the right to determine the number of teams in this tournament, and it says so right here. It says in 2019 there'll be 4 teams from MLS and 4 teams from Liga MX, but that doesn't mean it's going to be that way next year. And
perfect.
As we all noticed that that they only picked. I don't know. They only picked 4 teams from each one, and there was no qualification guidelines.
Yeah, it wasn't FIFA rankings. It wasn't MLS table rankings. It wasn't current form.
Yeah. So
it was, hey, you 4. You guys have jerseys? You free on this date?
Yeah.
Join me.
You're there. So whenever you look at that, what that really is it's the Leagues Cup sort of saying, and it's the competition committee saying that we are allowing MLS to pick your 4 teams, and we're allowing Liga MX to pick your 4 teams, but those 2 organizations going forward get to pick the selection criteria for that. So it sounds like there could be some qualifications for next year's tournament.
I'd love to hear what MLS comes up with.
I mean, but what are you going to do? You're going to punish teams by playing more games, by being like the top? You're going to take the top teams? 4? You finish in the top 4?
Well, and then you saw what happened to Toronto the year after they won MLS Cup, all the extra games that they had to play in, and you saw the effect that it had on their season that year. So yeah, it's not really a reward, but at the same time, I get it from the league's perspective because you want to showcase your teams, but it's just the Leagues Cup, CONCACAF, it's going to do what it's going to do. All the MLS, everyone kind of knows what the score is going into these things.
Well, you'll be happy to know that the duration of these matches is 2 halves of 45 minutes with a 15-minute thing.
Well, is the shootout in? Is the running shootout?
No running shootout.
Oh, man. I'm waiting for one tournament to bring that in.
But the big thing is that they said VAR will be in use.
Well, that's good.
Okay, so VAR will be in use.
Or not good.
However, well, quite honestly, I think that if you watch the Gold Cup, the absence of VAR was pretty striking. And
yes.
it was different, especially whenever you watched it.
If it's available, and it is available in these MLS stadiums because it's
it's
league-wide.
It's all in MLS stadiums, yes.
You use it if it's there.
So the only sort of twist is there's no extra time, straight to penalty kicks, which makes sense as well.
Yeah.
So who cares?
It's
it's 90
minutes. We don't need 120 minutes
Nobody needs
on a
that.
Tuesday night.
So it'll go straight to penalty kicks. Now, the weirdest part, and no, I don't have the graphics to show you, but you're going to have to trust me on this one, is that this was actually listed in like the Cliff Notes version of like highlights of things that are coming.
This is the must read.
This is the must reads. This is really big stuff, guys. You're going to want to make sure that you get this. But the big thing was that there are going to be, and I quote, ball racks behind the goals for the first time in North America. This was literally.
Is this like the 3-point shootout?
Yeah.
Like you get 5 shots.
You get 5 shots
as quick as you can. Okay.
So there are ball racks. There's 2 ball racks behind each goal. So basically, you think on either side of sort of the goal, back against the boards, and I think each one of them hold 4 balls.
Wow, you paint a great picture.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't it exciting? So anyway, so those ball racks are there, and the ball racks have all sorts of stipulations and mandatory. And they're like, for the first time ever in North America, in order to speed up play, we're putting ball racks in there. Now they still have ball boys, ball kids, around, and they dictate not only where the ball racks should go in their diagrams, but where the ball kids should sit as well. So and stand, and I got
well,
that.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand that people want their balls held a specific way. So
Yes.
I get where they're coming from.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as you would also then understand that if it is not so the team that does not have possession of the ball, if they went to said ball rack,
they just grab it
and they grabbed it to throw it in, like say, here's your ball, play. That can be punishable by a yellow card or other tomfoolery with the ball racks.
See, I like this. This is like rock and talk. Back if anyone watched MTV back in the day where they had the 50-point shot, throw a ball rack in. Hey, bring in a second ball. Let's bring in a second ball. Let's spice things up.
Yeah, I like it. The chat room obviously having a good time with this as well. LA Native
a lot of hot ball talk.
Yeah, the LA Native says, this is confusing. Let's just fold the tournament. And it says, let's see. Gene says, games are decided by the Shasta halftime challenge.
Oh.
That's a good one.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, and Philip asked a good question though. How many times are those balls going to be knocked over, shot at whenever? Because you're going to miss, and then you.
So you have the ball boys who are responsible, or girls, excuse me,
Yes.
ball kids.
Yeah.
You have those who are responsible for putting the ball back in play, but who's replenishing the ball racks?
They have to do
Okay.
that. And
That's
there's
a tough job.
And as a matter of fact,
Are they paying these kids? Is this child labor?
I know we didn't talk about this.
We're gonna blow
but
the
there is
cover
a
off this.
guideline in here for how the ball kid is supposed to replace the balls on the ball rack.
Wow.
I am not kidding. This is why it's 17 pages. It's like, is this crazy?
But I kind of love it because when you see things in these tournaments and you see the ball rack, I think the Portuguese League Cup, the last 3 years, like it was brought in by drone, the ball floated in. So someone has to think of this, and obviously it needs to be planned out and written down. So as silly as it is, it's just kind of funny. It's fascinating to me, all the work that goes in to make a tournament like this happen.
17 pages. 17 pages.
Someone had to create that. Someone
Yes.
created that document as their job.
But they copied and pasted from somewhere else, right? I mean, this is not, you can't honestly, see how it is. Gene also says that New England, should they play in the League's Cup, their balls would be deflated.
Oh, that's fair.
By the way, Gene, I just want to let you
Points.
know that according to the competition guidelines from League's Cup, the balls are to be inflated to a minimum of 12 PSI and a maximum of 14 PSI.
Well, that's just standard.
That's
Come on.
obviously
Everybody
knows that.
What?
I know.
See, I don't know. Now you're getting too repetitive.
Oh, it's
that's
cracking
just
me
something
up.
everyone knows.
Yeah. It's how it was. All right. So, anyway, I just thought that
talk.
I read that and I wanted to sort of look at this. I wanted people to understand that there are guidelines that actually dictate this tournament. It's
a thing. It's not for fun.
We can make fun of it, but they're taking this very seriously. And there's actually a clause in this that says that teams who agree to participate must participate. Except outside of the force majeure, right? Which is basically God striking down the football stadium or anything else in between.
I'm curious as to what the thought process is behind that. So teams have to participate?
Well, it's sort of like
if
you've been selected to be in this, and however it goes, then you're obligated.
You can't say no.
Yeah, then it's sort of like you're obligated to do it unless there's reasons and you can get out of it, and then the competition committee gets to change it and all that stuff. Somebody asked, are the other teams in this taking this seriously? I don't know how Liga MX teams are going to take this. I don't know how. Houston basically already said that they're going to be playing their Rio Grande River. What is the RGV FC?
I'm hardly able to keep up with the LA Galaxy.
Their USL team basically was going to come out and play.
But just go Houston Dynamo 2. Let's not get cute with it.
Yeah, H2. All right. So no, as you look at this, so I mean, I know that in MLS, I'll be honest. If the Galaxy take this seriously, they'll ruin my birthday on the 23rd because
which is first and foremost. That's the most important thing.
Well, can we also? And I think I already told everybody, but I actually knew this a little bit beforehand because I was talking to one of the hosts of this particular thing. But ESPN is televising this game between the Jolos and the LA Galaxy. ESPN, national ESPN
has the rights
and will be there and will broadcast this not on ESPN2 or it might be on ESPN2 or it's not on ESPN Plus. This is a nationally televised game. And so does that change in any way what you think of this particular team?
I don't think so because it reminds me a lot of the ICC, the International Champions Cup. Those games were on ESPN. It was essentially a meaningless tournament, so it kind of has that feel. The fact that both leagues are involved, you can tell everything has to start somewhere. So maybe at some point, this will be an official thing and it will be taken seriously. But we're going to find out in the first round where teams value this, because if the Liga MX teams start essentially their B teams or their youth, and the Galaxy and Houston start their youth, then we know how each club values this.
Yeah.
But if you see the Liga MX teams, go full force and bring their full team and starters. Then you say, well, they're trying to win this thing, and then that may change the perspective in the second round.
Right.
Whoever, if an MLS team happens to make it through, they'll say, well, this team, took it seriously the last game, so maybe we should put our starters in if we're going to give this a shot in a semifinal.
All right, Romero in the chat room asks, how many substitutions are allowed? And the answer is 3. So it is.
And there's no
subs.
extra time, so no extra sub.
Nope. Each one of the teams will actually have to submit a roster. That is like of clubs of players that you're allowed to pick from, which is again like it's just like any other
roster,
tournament. Yeah. So that's also there. But yeah,
is there a maximum on the roster?
I don't know.
Can they submit all 28, or do they need a 23?
I didn't see that part.
Come on.
I know. I went through so much stuff. It's 17 pages.
Page 16, section B.
Yeah, I remembered a lot of stuff that I didn't think I'd remember as people were asking these questions. Other people are also asking in the chat room, what do you think the percentage of Xolos fans to Galaxy fans is going to be at this? And I would say that if your team is the Xolos and you live up here in LA and your team is coming, then you're going to buy tickets for this for sure.
And that's the thing. It's a very popular, weekend trip to go down to Tijuana and watch the Xolos play. So there's definitely a fan base in Southern California. So if you're making the trip to Tijuana regularly to watch them play and they're playing in your backyard, of course, you're going to go check them out at Dignity Health Sports Park. So I think you'll see a large contingent of Tijuana fans out there.
Well, and again, I don't believe that the Galaxy will take this seriously. I know there's they could totally surprise me and take this seriously and start. But when you look at the schedule they have,
I don't see how they do it.
Yeah.
Especially after the coming after El Tráfico and then before going away to Portland. I don't see you burning your first team results, especially with how much emphasis. We saw how Schelotto emphasized the Open Cup, and that's something that you could say has prestige and the teams try to win. And the fact that it doesn't relate to making it into the playoffs and from winning the league, the fact that this doesn't have a barring on that, I think that's where his focus is for this team this season.
The Galaxy are fully focused on making the playoffs and then, trying to do anything within that playoffs, even though I still believe, and I know there's lots of people still believe that the LA Galaxy are probably a year away from really making a run. But
that's the beauty. With a one-game playoff, anything can happen. You can make a run. I've said this on previous shows. I don't know that this Galaxy team has the depth to make to go on a 4-game win streak, and if they're not going to have the number 1 seed to have to go away to a team to try to win, I don't think this team has it this year. But again, you never know.
If that one team is LAFC though, like you can't throw that out.
You can't throw it out, and that's the thing. You see the run that they're on and how many points they have. They're completely running away with the league. But you just knowing the history, you don't fear that team, and then that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have the headspace for the LA Galaxy this year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the LA Galaxy's roster here before we get into you imbibing in free drinks once again.
Listen,
I know.
It's easy. Just invite me. Say hi.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
All it takes.
That's all it takes. Let's talk a little bit about Cristian Pavon and what seems to be happening around the LA Galaxy and sort of my feel on this. I don't have any great sources that are going to tell me that, yes, it's absolutely happening. I will say that there is absolutely negotiations going on, that the Galaxy are absolutely trying to bring Pavon in. That shouldn't surprise anybody. You've certainly seen the reports out of Argentina. In fact, there were more reports out of Argentina today that were basically saying
it's a done deal.
It's a done deal. Mm-hmm. I haven't been told it's a done deal, and last time I went in and asked, I was told it is not a done deal. There's still, here's the thing, and here's the thinking around this, I think, if you're the LA Galaxy, is that you need to know the Pavon deal is going to get done before you can do anything else, and something else definitely has to happen. You don't know what that is.
Yeah, you wouldn't make this move without having a contingency plan.
Well, and you have to have it, but you can't also put that plan in place if you don't have them, because that could change your thinking on things. And let's do this, perspective-wise. Let's say that you want that Pavon is going to come in. The LA Galaxy have to open up a designated player spot. They also have to open up an international slot in order to do both those things. I mean,
depending on what the structure is of the deal.
Yeah.
If we're on the
could it be a loan?
The Zlatan sweetheart, wink and a handshake that next year, is that part of the deal? So maybe he doesn't need it. These things are all things that we won't know until it's signed and we know. Yeah, the other pieces start to fall in.
It feels like So if the rumors are true about the $12 million, and that certainly has been a number that has been fixed for a long enough time that I believe it.
And when I've seen 10 million, I've seen 12 million. I think his value is around 22, 23 million. So that's in the ballpark.
It all makes sense, okay? Yeah. And everybody's saying, well, then the Galaxy would need to sell him for, $23, $24 million to make their money back. No, you don't, because there is value in just having him. So if you're down or shy $3 or $4 million, which if he has the ceiling on the 23-year-old is so high that you may end up making a ton of money. Yeah. He may go for $40 million. I have no idea. I can't predict that future.
And you're talking about a club that spent $6 million to offload someone. Yeah. So again, not to say that they're careless with their money, but if it's going to bring them a benefit, they're willing to spend that money. And if you lose $2 or $3 million on this deal, but you end up with another trophy in the case, I think that's a win.
Yeah, it's well spent. That's good money spent. The other part of this, in terms of from the LA Galaxy side, is let's say you do have to move somebody, if you have to, or you have to restructure something, you have to. If you don't know Pavon is coming, you're not going to sit there and then go.
Send someone with the João deal down to G2.
Well, I mean,
you don't do that. First.
Well, if you want to extend Roman Alessandrini, maybe you don't extend him if Pavon isn't coming, because you're going to open up a designated player spot with his injury. Maybe the extension is something that you sit there and say, okay, next year we get him for one more year. With his injury status, does he come off the bench? I was talking to Chris Tucker about this, actually, or I think either today or yesterday. We were texting each other back and forth and sort of discussing it. And
really? You text other people about the Galaxy?
Yeah, not just you. Oh, I do it to my wife, too. She's just like, I don't know, leave me alone.
You're dropping this on air?
Yeah, that's how it goes. So, like, whenever you look and you sort of discuss that stuff, it's like, okay, so could the Galaxy, have a highly paid TAM player like Alessandrini come off the bench next year? Limited minutes. So you're protecting his fitness, all these things. I mean, it would be a great sub to have.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about Boateng being a spark off the bench, if Alessandrini is your spark off the bench, that's not bad. And then he's not stretching himself to where he's pushing himself too much and getting hurt.
Right.
You have a specific role where you bring him to use. But a TAM player as a sub is a tough sell.
It was the same whenever Robbie Keane and Steven Gerrard were sitting on the bench, and you're sort of like, okay, that's like $4 million, or $6 million sitting on the bench right now, and that doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's a lot of things, but if the Galaxy can land Pavon, it might be worth it to extend and do that. So that might make some sense. It might also, but you can't make any of those moves. You can't make the decision until you know Pavon is here, and that you have him, and it's locked up and it's done.
And I was going to say, I'm following him on Instagram. Haven't seen the plane ride just yet. It's getting close.
There's rumors. There's also a little bit of a rumor out there that perhaps Boca don't want to let him go until August. I don't know what they would be waiting for, because their season hasn't started yet. They're in off season. Here's the thing from Boca's perspective too, is we know that they need money, and because they need money and Pavon has not really been playing for them, he's dead weight to them. So we know that. It seems like he wants to come here. So all of this stuff is sort of building to be in the Galaxy's favor. The fact that there are no other offers is both good and bad. The good part about that is the Galaxy aren't bidding against anybody, so their original deal that they made still sits there.
Or, you saw reports of 12 million, and then you see reports of 10 million, so you almost, not that they would offer less, but because if the offer went forward, it stands. But if no one else is bidding, then gives the Galaxy the leverage.
Yeah, and Ramiro in the chat room says, I don't think you can restructure Alessandrini's contract without the players union getting involved. It's not a restructuring, it's actually an extension. You're lowering the overall value of the average value of the contract by giving him another year, and that brings it underneath the targeted allocation money.
Yeah, and why the players union wouldn't get involved in this case is because he'd still get all the money that he is set to
get
earn
this year, and then he would get more money. They're never going to complain about more money. So that's one of those things as well. So all of these things seem to be leading. It's a position of need for the LA Galaxy. We know that. Boca and the player don't necessarily seem to be seeing eye to eye anymore, so that also works in the Galaxy's favor. Guillermo Barros-Schelotto coached this player and got the most out of him.
I was going to say, are you going to leave that part out of it?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think that's the biggest part.
Well, if you're Pavon, you're not playing under the current coach. You have a chance to go to the United States and play for a coach who had you being valued at $40 million not too long ago. So, why wouldn't you go? I think if you get Pavon here, you have a highly motivated 23-year-old that wants to come in here, kick butt, and get his butt over to Europe in the next 3 years.
And then we've seen that with other players as well. Pavon isn't going to come over here and want to play for the LA Galaxy for the next 10 years.
That's fine.
He's going to want to raise his stock.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah, I
want that motivation.
I want that guy.
I mean, you look at Uriel Antuna right now as a guy who wants to get back to Europe.
Yes.
Let him play,
And you saw that at the Gold Cup. He's playing like someone who wants to get seen and to to move elsewhere. So
we can all agree though his goals that he scored was basically on like U16 teams.
But you even see it with the Galaxy. Even for his faults and whatever critiques you had, he's busting. But what can I say in the live? Busting his A. He's really working hard. You can tell he's trying. Maybe it doesn't land all the time, but you can tell he's really working hard to get noticed because he's come out, he's said it publicly, and you can see it by his drive on the field.
So the reason that this is probably going to be drawn out a lot more than it should be is because there's all those complexities to adding him to the roster and all those other things. Transfer window is open. It's open until August 7th. Galaxy have time to make these moves. Boca wants the money. They need the money. The player and Boca aren't getting along anymore. Pavon and GBS have a relationship. All of these things point to Pavon coming in and being an LA Galaxy member. I mean, I think if you're saying, what percentage of everything right now goes on, I would be in the 65 to 70% it gets done.
Okay, we're in sync. I would have said 70-30. Yeah.
I'm hedging a bit because there's a lot of moving parts that have to sort of happen. Sometimes we make it sound easier than it is, but I will also say this, that so far, General Manager Dennis DeClosa has made everything easy. There hasn't been a lot.
He somehow found a way to make it all work in ways when we didn't think they had space. We didn't think they were going to be able to bring players in, and players just happened to find their way here, which is good.
Yeah, it is. It's been an interesting year so far. Again, I'm hoping that whenever I go to the game on Friday, I actually get to talk to some people about what it means with Giovanni Dos Santos going to Club America. I talked about it a little bit on Monday. But again, the questions I don't have answers for is, okay, so we know it's not salary cap based, right? Yeah. But AEG supposedly paid out $6.5 million and they had, and that was sort of the amount they ate. But by selling him to Club America, and granted, I haven't seen if there was transfer fees or anything like that, but even if it's not transfer fees, what if Club America just picks up his salary now that he's their player? Because technically that's a new contract. You go to a new team, you have a new contract. Yes. So did the Galaxy still have to pay him 6.5, or did they get to release that? No, they only had to pay 3.25 because it was only for half the year. If that's the case, then there's $3.25 more million that they thought that maybe you could use for Pavon and the $12 million. I mean,
and like I said, that's why I said they were willing to offload $6.5 million to get him off the roster. But if that $3 million or $2 million is going to help offset these costs, then of course, it's a business. Those things are important.
Yeah, it is. I will also say that I know we're sort of glossing over it, and we've always said that AEG has had the money to spend. But if they go out and spend $12 million for 50% of a player, the LA Galaxy will have raised sort of what they're willing to spend and how they're willing to spend it by a significant amount of money. The $7.2 million to Zlatan Ibrahimovic is like the new high in terms of how much a player. Again, I don't think Pavon's salary, his overall salary, is going to be some ridiculous number. I think it'll probably be maybe in the 1.8, maybe 2 million.
2 million is what I was thinking, 2 or 3 million.
I could even see it being under $1 million. I mean, the range is that fight in terms of what his personal amount of money is.
If you follow, internationally, the transfer fees are outrageous. But when you actually look to their week-to-week wages, it's not necessarily in line with what these major clubs spend to get the players. The weekly wages, the salary, I still think if with that value, given the talent caliber and MLS. Here I am sounding like Zlatan. I think he's a $2 to $3 million type guy.
It feels that way. It's not going to be. He's not making $7.2 million.
No, he's not making $56,000.
Yeah, that's not happening either. Whenever it's always Europe and they do the weekly wages, I always have to bring out the calculator and multiply.
Wait, what's pounds? How do I convert pounds here?
Convert pounds and then times 52 weeks. Do we use the full 52 weeks? It's not actually 52. It's like 51 point something whenever you're trying to do a full year because it's not full 52 weeks. It's all that stuff. Whenever you're calculating things.
The one thing, doing a little bit of research, how tall do you think Cristian Pavon is? Do you know the answer?
No, they showed it in meters, and I had to convert it, and I couldn't remember what it was. And I'm going to guess he's like 5'8".
Converted from meters,
right.
It's 5'7".
Okay.
But if you look up in feet, it will say 5'6". So he's between 5'6", 5'7".
Now, is he lying? Is he like Ima Boateng who says he's 5'6"?
If you Google Ima Boateng, it says he's 5'9". And I don't know what phone book he was standing on when they measured him to get 5'9". On the team website, the Galaxy has him listed at 5'6". But that was something that surprised me. When you look at pictures and watch him play, he doesn't look like an Ima Boateng-sized guy, but that's the type of player that you're getting.
Position of need for the LA Galaxy, certainly, with Roman Alessandrini, not being able to come off the bench until September. I mean, the Galaxy have a path to, a long run and even an MLS Cup whenever you really think about it. If Alessandrini comes back and makes an impact, you get Pavon, but it really does sort of depend on what they're able to do this transfer window. And here's the thing. If they don't get Pavon, there's no other names that are out there right now. Yeah. I'm not saying Dennis DeClosa can't reload and suddenly find somebody else. I'm sure he has a contingency.
You're killing my Quaresma dreams?
Yeah, I really there's been reports out there that was just sort of, was a floated name.
Yeah, he's Portuguese. I figured. You would just say stuff that no one's really going to buy. Just get someone to bite.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. So anyway, so that's where we sort of sit on the Pavon rumors, and there are no other credible rumors that I have out there right now. This is it. All things seem to be focused in one basket. GBS said a long time ago that he likes him, he wants him, but it wasn't up to him. It was really up to Dennis DeClosa. So Dennis working hard right now to get Pavon, and quite honestly, if he lands Pavon in this as well, on top of everything else, and really, the Galaxy are missing another goal scorer, so you need somebody who can score goals. I mean, Pavon could probably play up top, even with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, if you went to like a 4-4-2, if you wanted to put Leggett on the right wing and you wanted to go into a two-man set again.
Well, and there's a lot of talk of GBS with the 4-3-3, so if depending on how that 4-3-3 is structured, then he could play more of a striker-ish role.
Can we just say, I mean, that is where GBS is going to.
Yeah.
It's going to a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that next year the Galaxy seem to be wanting to play a 4-3-3, kind of depending on whether Zlatan comes back. I have him not coming back. So there, you got that Swedish media. All right,
I have him coming back.
You have you just want to get quoted.
I just want to create controversy.
I understand. So anyway, I mean that's sort of where it goes, and that'll depend. But I mean, this is Dennis DeClosa. This is Guillermo setting themselves up not really for this year, but for next year as well. And there's going to be changes over this offseason that are probably going to surprise some people. I think that there's going to be a lot of open positions. I mean, getting Antuna back, getting Fabio Alvarez back, those are not givens. Those are lone players. And I think with Antuna and the way that he has played so far, he is garnering interest internationally, and Manchester City may be like, oh, time to sell.
Yeah.
And then
there's I've even saw reports, and again, nothing credible, that the Galaxy were interested in purchasing Antuna.
That's expensive.
So, but that's the thing. If they're purchasing from Man City, but the idea being that he's an asset that they could sell on and make money off of. So depending on what the sale price is, that may be a move. But but that's the type of thing, because it's not a guarantee that he comes back. That if they wanted to secure him coming back, it might require them purchasing him outright.
Well, with the transfer fee that would probably come in, that I'm guessing is probably above the $12 million that they want for Cristian Pavon, just because Pavon's really valued at like $20 million. I figured that Antuna is probably in the $12 to $13 million range.
$10 million, yeah, that's where I'd guess.
So if you're guessing that along with his salary pushes him into designated player category, I mean, you can sort of pay that down over years if you do it right. Yeah,
but is that the guy you want to put your eggs in the basket? And I don't think it is.
Yeah, and that's sort of the problem.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Here's the other part of this that we don't know, which is that the collective bargaining agreement is up at the end of this year. The players are preparing for a strike. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, you're seeing a little bit of rumblings about travel. You're seeing players, I forget which player. There's a player on the Galaxy who mentioned, union work and kind of player rights. And so this is coming. And so if you're keeping a close ear to the ground, you kind of know that the strike is something that may be planned at the beginning of next year.
Because if you go back, what year was it where the last CBA was? Was that 2015? 2015, 2016?
Sounds right.
It's right in that area. I can't remember exactly. But if you go back, you remember that Todd Donovan was actually a player rep, and he was on the negotiating committee for the CBA. He was in the room and was doing the stuff as Major League Soccer was trying to get this done. Remember, they didn't lose any games in that.
But it got close.
It got really close. And there are a lot of players right now who think that they gave in a little too easy. And so they almost want to show that they can strike just to be able to put some fear into Major League Soccer. So,
and if I think back correctly, some of the things that they fought for, I think free agency or restricted free agency, where it was sold as a win, ended up coming back and biting them because it didn't give them as much player flexibility as they thought. So I think they feel a little bit burned by some of those deals.
I think there's some of that. I remember talking to Todd, and Todd was great because he would come on the show and tell us what was going on and sort of give us the players' view on this stuff. And he didn't want to sort of negotiate in public with it, but he wanted to give us keep us updated, and that was always appreciated. But Todd would come on and he says, "Listen, after that came through, he goes, listen, we got the we got free agency, which no other major sports league has ever done without a work stoppage.
Yeah.
He goes, it may not be free agency the way everybody wanted it, but it's free agency in some form, and now they get to go and chip away at that.
Now it's in
CBA.
place. Now it's in place, and they can rework the wording or change it around. So, but again, that's it. It's negotiation. You're going to get some things you want, and you're going to have to give in on other things to get some of the bigger chips that you do want.
I would say right now, if you're expecting that MLS starts the 2020 season on time, I don't think that's happening.
It's all right. We're used to a condensed schedule. We'll be fine. No Gold Cup break next year.
Oh, my God. This is going to be ridiculous. There's going to be so many games.
Yeah, there'll be a Euro break, but we don't need to worry about that.
So anyway, so that's what it is. But the reason I bring that up is that we don't know what the salary cap is going to be. There is discussions, and it seems like there are owners who are sitting there saying right now, Eric, they're saying, we want to triple the salary cap. Okay. This is against my own self-interest, by the way. But I would think that if they were smart, that the league would get rid of TAM altogether.
Yeah,
get rid of it.
Just eliminate it.
Get rid of general allocation money too. I mean, get rid of the JAM and the TAM.
That'd break our hearts. You know how much content we've gotten out of
explaining that stuff?
GAM TAM and FTAM and all this fun stuff. So, but yeah, it makes sense. If you're going to increase the salary cap, then you don't want to restrict those monies. Just let them use it how they wish, and then just keep it under this amount.
Yeah,
and then if teams want to go over, you see this in other sports. Maybe there's a tax that they pay
luxury
if they want to go over.
Yeah, do a luxury tax, and you can still have designated players and all that other stuff. By the way, Mike Gray also brings up a good. I was talking about Todd Donovan. I know I said Todd because we're BFFs, and I just doesn't everybody know who Todd is? I'm confused.
Did you not say Donovan? Did
you
just say Todd?
I don't know. Maybe Mike came in late.
Is
I
Mike
don't know.
messing with you? I thought I heard Donovan.
It could be.
I'm gonna give you the points.
Thank you. Awesome. I appreciate that. But anyway, so we don't know what the salary cap is going to be. If you don't know what the salary cap is going to be, then negotiating some of these contracts is difficult. Yeah. Maybe having Allison Drini at $1.5 million, which now the TAM ceiling's raised to whatever it is, because the salary cap is $12 million, isn't a big deal, and it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, you can have. I mean, we're getting to the point now. If it's me and I'm the owners, I double the salary cap just to start with, and I say, look, we're going to double it. So what are you complaining about? Or you could really be the owners to say, no, we're not doing anything, and then eventually creep it up and say, oh, we're going to increase it, for $2 million to $6 million, 6.5 right now, and then next year we'll take it up to $8 million, and then next year they'll step it up.
It just depends on what the mechanism is, because is it one of those where you do have to use it, or if you don't use it, does that mean that you have to increase the value? I know that happens in the NBA, that if they don't use the entire cap, then whatever's left over, they have to increase the salaries of their existing players. So it just depends on. Maybe not every single owner wants to double the cap.
And that's sort of that's sort of the thing. If it's me, I'm also gonna do I'm also gonna put a ceiling or a floor on the spending as well, which means that the Colorado Rapids will actually have to spend money, not on a goalkeeper named Tim Howard. That's their only one.
That's their loophole.
Yeah. It's the salary cap doesn't stay stagnant every year either. It increases, right? So you're getting that slow increase of, I think it was about 5% every year. But what you're going to see from the players is they're going to want that to jump significantly. They're going to want to see the senior minimums, the senior maximums, all those things sort of move up in that range as well, because the real value in all of this, and continues to be a value, something the Galaxy are somewhat taking advantage of right now with Daniel Steres, is that American players are cheap whenever it comes to this stuff. So if you have the good domestic players, then you are able to really use and benefit from those lower salaries.
Which it's counterintuitive a little bit, because you would think a player who doesn't take up an international slot and is going to be valuable to your team, you'd almost think like their salary would be, you'd bump up their salary because that's going to be a value to a team. So maybe there's a pendulum switching in the other direction. But as of right now, they're definitely able to take advantage of that product.
So all of that has to be in consideration, and the reason that we even go on the tangent with the CBA and everything is all that has to be in consideration whenever you think of what they're doing with Pavon and what they're going to do with Allison Drini and what the 2020 plans are for the LA Galaxy. That all has to be sort of guessed at.
And one would think that if they know negotiations are coming, I'm sure there's shots that have been fired and little things that have mentioned if you read between the lines. So if Dennis Teclosa is obviously going to know what's going on, if he knows down the line maybe there's a salary cap increase coming, maybe there's going to be some different stipulations, he's going to know what type of moves to make. You would think that it's not going to be completely blind or shocked by whatever the negotiations are. You would think that there are some slight conversations happening already.
Going to be a busy offseason in terms of that CBA and the negotiations and everything, and that's going to happen right around Christmas and then into January. January is going to be the big month of all that.
The offseason.
Yeah, the CBA actually expires, I think, in January of 2020, at the end of January 2020, and so they'll have that, and then they'll be working without a CBA, and teams will be reporting to camps without a CBA, probably. They're probably going to say, we're going to negotiate in good faith. Everybody will show up and do stuff.
Go with whatever's pre-existing until we figure it out.
Until we figure it out. So anyway, so that's where we go. Well, I want to get to injury updates, and then I also want to get a preview of the San Jose game. But before we do that, I want you to take us back a little bit to your visit to the Speakeasy.
Oh, am I allowed to talk?
I don't know. Are you allowed to talk about it? It's like,
well, I wrote an article on it, so I guess it's out there.
First rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. I don't know what they're trying to put it. Yeah, we do have an article up there. Eric did a great job. You can't even tell his words were slurred in that article.
That's the beauty of print.
That's right.
Yeah, audio, maybe I would have been in trouble.
But how did a little bit? And again, we're wearing right now El Silencio Mezcal stuff. But you got to go to the Speakeasy. I mean, tell us about it.
Well, yeah. I read the article like everyone else at the beginning of the season, learning about El Silencio and how they're the first mezcal partnership with the professional sports team. So that piqued my interest. Then reading a little bit more about the company, they mentioned something about a speakeasy. If you ask the right questions and know the right people, kind of the influencer model where it creates a little bit of mystery. So I kept digging a little bit more until I was able to make some contact with the people over at El Silencio and the team there. And they were able to be gracious enough to allow me in and to sample some of their spirits. And again, you learn what mezcal is because, that's not necessarily known to everybody. I kind of ask some naive questions, and you can read about it in the article about the difference between, because you hear mezcal and you think of tequila or that type of spirit, and are they the same? Are they different? And what's going on? So they were able to explain that. There's bartenders in there. So there's, the bar that you see out in the concourse. And then if you look closely and look carefully, you might see something else in the area as well. And that's kind of a hidden area. The more I learned about it, it's actually an old storage closet. So just the fact that they were able to convert something that was a storage closet and turn it into a bar, it's just kind of a cool thing that I was able to be a part of and experience. I'm not and I mentioned it earlier, it's something like the influencer model. I'm not an influencer guy.
I disagree.
That's not my thing. So just the fact that I was able to kind of fake it for a little bit and pretend that I could be part of the scene there, it's just something I enjoyed, and they were very gracious enough to help me out there.
Yeah, they provided us with shirts for this particular podcast. Yeah. They also gave us a bottle of mezcal and espadin.
And that's espadin. That's
espadin.
That's the one that really has a punch to it, because there's their general mezcal. I'm messing up the name. The ensemble is it's kind of the starter set, and then that's the one when you really need the high octane. The smokiness is big on that bottle there.
Well, we were able to talk to the national brand director, Natalia Garcia-Burke. So let's hear from her and our quick little interview we did. All right, now joining us on the phone, a very special guest. Glad we could have her on. Please welcome to Corner of the Galaxy for the very first time, Natalia Garcia-Burke, the National Brand Director for El Silencio Mezcal. Natalia, thanks so much for calling in. I know you're busy, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. We had an article drop on the website today about the El Silencio Speakeasy and Black Magic Bar, so I know there's a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement about the brand going on right now.
Excited about it. It was a great read. Thanks for that.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can you tell us a little bit about the partnership between El Silencio and the LA Galaxy?
Yeah, for sure. So when AG came around with the opportunity of partnering, it was extremely exciting. El Silencio is all about doing first, and it's all about changing the status quo of what mezcal does and how it does it. So it was an important decision for us to make, because we were able to be the first mezcal to actually partner with a professional sports team and a stadium. So we couldn't let that go. And a lot of the team have actually grown up around soccer and following soccer, playing soccer, and being able to partner with a team that is in our backyard in a way, because Silencio was founded in LA, was an incredible opportunity, and we have been thrilled to be part of this journey.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, Natalia, whenever you look at really the location and everything, and I know Eric's going to ask a whole bunch more about that. I have the stupid question, because I'm usually the stupid question guy. What is the difference really between mezcal and tequila?
not a stupid question at all. It's actually a great one because most people don't know. And there's a couple of things to kind of point out here. The type of plant that is used for tequila is blue weather agave only. For mezcal, it depends on who you talk to. You could have up to like 30 different varietals of agave. The one you'll most commonly find is ESPY. Then the region where it's produced, for tequila, you can only produce in one region. For mezcal, you can actually produce in over 9 regions that have denominación de origen for mezcal now, which is pretty incredible. And then the way you cook the agave plant. So for tequila, they're going to do it mostly in ovens. For mezcal, it's underground. So you have these underground pits where it actually smokes the agave for about 5 to 7 days. And that's where you get that characteristic of smokiness for the mezcal.
Wow. Yeah, that was the magic word of the night, was smokiness.
Smokiness.
That's the trademark of mezcal.
Yeah, it makes. Thank you for clearing that. Now I feel like it's a much more complicated process. I think now I understand, but don't understand at all, and so now maybe I'll actually do some research on it. So no, it's some good stuff. Eric, what do you got?
It's actually quite interesting because mezcal is it's the oldest spirit of the Americas, so it's over 500 years old. And tequila is technically a mezcal because a mezcal is any agave distillate. So you can be a mezcal without being a tequila, but you can't be a tequila without being a mezcal. If that makes any sense.
That's the quotable right there. So you mentioned about being able to partner with a vendor. When we spoke, we talked about kind of the process behind the cocktails at the Black Magic Bar. Can you tell us what cocktails are available at that bar and the process of how those were decided upon?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a strawberry jalapeno margarita. One of the biggest things that we wanted to do was kind of create classic cocktails that people already knew, but give them a Silencio twist. So you kind of get what you see on the title here because you're going to get strawberry flavors, you're going to get like jalapeno tincture flavors, and you're going to get some of the mezcal coming through as well. And then our other really exciting one is the Midnight Mojito. So this one we went a little bit further and actually made a black high infusion. So we could mix that in with the ingredients to make what you would normally know as a traditional mojito. And it was a really fun process because we wanted to obviously enhance the experience of game day. I think that's why we're all part of this journey. And we really hope everyone's getting to enjoy the cocktails as much as we do, because it was a really fun process to go through.
Yeah, I know they were pretty delicious, and they definitely had a kick, and that smokiness came through. And I remember there was even a sample of a chai mojito. And, we're coffee drinkers. I was like, oh, this is, some familiar flavors with the chai.
Yeah, that's the Midnight Mojito.
Yeah, perfect. So aside from the Black Magic Bar, there's the Speakeasy. And I'm going to be careful because I don't know. What can I say? What can I say? So I'm going to let you take it away. What's the deal with the Speakeasy at Dignity Health Sports Park?
The Speakeasy is like Silencio in a physical form, in a way. So Vicente Cisneros, which is one of our founders, he's the creative mind behind everything Silencio, and he designed this sort of slice of the world of Silencio. When you're at the Black Magic Bar, you'll be closer than you think you are, and it is. That's as much as I will say. But it's a space where we kind of wanted people to feel at home within the world of Silencio. You can do a guided tasting. You can sample the mezcal on its own, and just kind of have this like retreat space within the stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say, as much of a secret as it is, there's an article out on our website as well that may have some hints at where you can find that. But a really interesting thing, I know Eric was really excited to be able to be invited in, was hosted there and had a great time. So we appreciate you taking care of Eric. I guess I'm telling you the best thing is, where can people find the brand? Where can they follow social media? Where are all the plugs that you want to get in for El Silencio Mezcal?
For sure, yeah. I feel like if you want to get an invite, I guess it's one of those things like, who do you know, right? I'm sure you can give some surprises to your listeners.
Right.
And you can find your local Silencio ambassador in town. But definitely go and follow us at Mezcal Silencio on all our social media. And if you're going to the game, engage with us and let us know. And who knows, you might be able to get an invite,
There you go. That's a great idea.
There's also a site that's called silencio.com/Speakeasy, And there you'll have some information to input and subscribe to, or invite lists and everything like that.
Absolutely. We have links to that on our particular article. If you head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com, you can find the article that Eric penned, somehow sober, for at least long enough to write a good article. So
I was going to say, you jot your notes and then you regroup and take care of it.
And it takes like 3 or 4 phone calls afterwards, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, Natalia was a great help to help me remember some of the things that I tasted there. But yeah, it was a fun experience.
Absolutely. Well, Natalia, we want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Hopefully, some of our listeners will visit the bar and, of course, start interacting with you. Maybe they can get an invite there, and maybe Eric and I have something that we could do about that as well. So we'll be hopefully seeing you or some of your other cohorts around Dignity Health Sports Park here real soon. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being such great supporters, and I'm so glad you had a good time that you wanted to share it with everyone.
Absolutely.
We will talk to you soon and see you soon in the stadium.
All right. Thanks, Natalia.
Thank you.
All right. There we go. Our little interview there with Natalia, who was great, by the way. So she took care of you.
She took care of me, and obviously, we're wearing the shirts. I got the drinks. I got a guided tour. So obviously, full disclosure, I'm gonna be happy with my experience there. So I don't want to come off being too, like I'm showing off or being pretentious. I kind of hinted at, I'm not really that guy. It is a small space. So obviously it's not, we've had a lot of feedback from the article today about how do I get in? Can we open it? And it's really the way it's designed is to keep people out. So there is that mystery. So that is part of the branding. And if you know anything about marketing, that's why I kept pursuing it, is because it's a closed door and you're trying to get behind it. So take that into consideration. It is what it is, but it is something that you don't see in other stadiums. So it is kind of a cool feature, all things considered.
I was going to say, there were some Champions Lounge people who were like, we don't get that in the Champions Lounge. I mean,
Champions Lounge
it's really nice.
I think, we're not going to compare.
Yes.
We're wearing the gear. It's good.
It's good.
If you're able to get into the Champions Lounge, you're in good shape.
You're in good shape. Now, I will say that Eric and I have been granted some access to the particular
when they say if you know the right people, we might know the right people.
So interact with Eric a little bit. We're gonna pick some people to go and join with us this Friday.
So if you're over 21,
yes, you have to be over 21. That's important. Yeah,
and if you're attending the game on Friday, reach out.
That's important.
Maybe we'll make something happen.
So we're gonna do a little pregame. Now we have super limited spots. Again, if we try to do this podcast from that room, it might be too big for us.
The microphones might not make their way in.
That's right. It might not be all this. So it's really small, but we do have some limited that Natalia has granted us and El Silencio has granted us.
They've been great.
We want to share that. We also want to share these jerseys that you see. We're going to give these away too.
We'll leave our shirts on for the show, but afterward.
Yeah. So we got some stuff there, and so we will figure out ways to give those away as well. And I didn't forget about the scarf, by the way, from the people who put in the stuff. I have those marked. I don't have them ready today. We'll do it on next week's show, which will also be a Wednesday show, by the way. Just giving everybody a heads up already.
Friday.
Yeah. So I know that there's people. So hit Hammer up at Galaxy Profile. Tell them why you want to go, and you can be our guest. I think we have like 4 spots. I mean, it's not, we don't have a ton, so we're going to do it. So if you're active on social media, that probably helps. It helps us, and it helps there. So,
and it helps El Silencio.
So we're going to do that, and we'll figure that out. So follow us at Galaxy Podcast. Follow Hammer on Instagram at Galaxy Profile, PROFOUL, Galaxy Profile.
I'm rubbing off on you.
You are.
You got my shtick down.
I'm making sure that you are good there. Let's go real quickly now and transition away from all of this. So we're glad everybody, and again, thanks to El Silencio. And again, our disclaimer for the FTC is that I was given nothing. That's not true. I was given the shirt.
I just told Josh what I was doing.
Yeah. Eric was like, I'm doing this. But that Eric was given free drinks and stuff like that doesn't mean our review isn't.
Yeah, it's still valid.
It's still valid. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that's where it was, and that's how we're going. All right. So we move on. Now let's focus a little bit on this game against San Jose, and let's start with an injury update. Now, Larry Morgan out on Twitter was out at training today doing the absolute best that he can whenever he's going out there. And if I haven't said it recently, the smartest thing I ever did was convince Larry to work for free and then do one of the best jobs covering the LA Galaxy out of any writer that covers the LA Galaxy. I mean,
that's actually one of my favorite things to do is whenever you see a video of a press conference, look for Larry.
He's there.
Because you can spot Larry. If you know what you're looking for, Larry's you can see him next to Zlatan. I think I'd like to see a matchup between Zlatan and Larry. They're toe-to-toe there.
They're asking, by the way, they like our shirts. And so, that's fun and that's cool. They want to know if we're going to sign him before. So we
Do
could
people
ruin him.
I was going to say, do people want my signature on there?
That's how it is. All right.
Sure. Yes.
Injury updates. Larry Morgan was out there. Larry Morgan tells me that Guillermo Barros-Schelotto told him that everybody is available outside of probably Sebastian Lletget, and obviously Roman Alessandrini. That includes Chris Pontius. Now, I am a little like, I'll believe it when I see it whenever it comes to Pontius, because we were told it was 3 weeks. That was 2 weeks ago. Usually things don't happen quicker.
Yeah.
They usually happen slower. So I'm like, okay.
Well, you don't know Chris Pontius.
I don't know.
Super healer.
He could be. Absolutely. Party Boy could do it. So Chris Pontius, it looks like he may also be available. I would guess that he wouldn't start if that was the case. And in fact, Guillermo Barros-Schelotto was talking about possibly starting Efrain Alvarez again because he had such a good game. Zlatan Ibrahimovic threw his support behind Efrain, which he does all the time, anytime he's asked. And I don't know how to take that sometimes. Sometimes
They're
I think
best buddies.
They are. By the way, if Zlatan speaks so many different languages that he's able to trash talk in so in the locker room he'll trash talk in
Spanish,
in Spanish and English, whatever languages he knows he just starts trash talking. So he's not left out of any conversation. So that's important. The other thing that you have back is that Jonathan Dos Santos is back, Uriel Antuna is back. Both of them will be available for Friday, and you expected that they will be available for Friday. So that was not a surprise, at least not in my mind. So that means that the Galaxy might actually have a right back. Or excuse me, a right midfielder to actually play in this, which means
and a center midfielder
and a center midfielder as well. So
an engine.
They're going to have all of those things. I would expect that those guys start as well. There are people saying, "Oh, you should probably rest them for this game and play LAFC." No, the points against San Jose are actually more important right now than the points against LAFC.
I was going to say that's something I tweeted out, and I was almost afraid to tweet out.
I know that it's okay. You can say it.
You throw all your eggs in the San Jose basket because given the form that the other team has, these are the points that are more attainable. So if you can grab these 3 points now, and then next week we'll see what happens. But these are the points that you would think. And we're going to take a look at San Jose and their form and how they look at formerly StubHub, now Dignity Health Sports Park.
Caught yourself.
Yeah, we're going to tell you about that, but I think the points are definitely there for the taking on Friday.
Let's see. Whenever you talk about the guys coming back, but I should also mention the injury. So Rolf Felcher cleared, Jorgen Skjelvik cleared.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, and if you follow at Galaxy Profile, you get to see Jorgen Skjelvik in a cryogenic chamber. So come on, what more do you want?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's. I mean, why else would you?
That's a cue, basically, that he's healing and that he's going to be ready to go, or at least available on Friday.
So that means the LA Galaxy fairly close to full health. Now, both Pontius trained. Lletget did train today. It was just Guillermo basically said we expect him back next week. So he should be available for LAFC, but not this week. So that's sort of where that sits. Now let's get you ready for the game against San Jose. I know. Are you prepared?
You don't have to ask anymore.
I feel like I do.
No, it's just part of the deal. You know that I get hyped up for this every week, so yeah, you know.
Okay, all right. Well, then, in order to properly prepare ourselves for the LA Galaxy's game against the San Jose Earthquakes, take it away, Hammer.
On June 29th, we witnessed some strange things. It felt like we were in the Upside Down a couple weeks ago when the Galaxy fell to the monsters from the Bay Area. Well, the Cali-Clasico is back, and this time we will fight Mateus, the Mind Flayer Almeida, on our turf. Our ragtag group of heroes looks to settle the score. We've got the Chief of Police, Guillermo Hopper Schelotto. There's the wonderful hair of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who'll be working with his young best friend, Zlatan Alvarez, to uncover San Jose's twisted plot to tear open the gate. We've got Jonathan Byers dos Santos, who's also ready in his often underappreciated grit. And if we really want to take out the evil Billy Wondolowski and his zombie army, well, we don't need to look any further than our own 11. That's right, number 11, Fabio Alvarez will look to use his powers for good and restore order to this iconic MLS rivalry. So pack up some egos and join us at Dignity Health Sports Park this Friday at 8 p.m. to witness the LA Galaxy beat the San Jose Smurfquakes. Don't believe me? Well, let me tell you, friends don't lie.
Oh, there you go. Very well. Nicely done. Can I have a confession?
I botched it a little bit there.
I don't think they'll care. Everybody's always like down for it anyway, so they're good. Nice Ray Hudson-esque vibe there. I don't know if that's good or bad sometimes. My confession basically is this, that I don't watch Stranger Things, and the reason I don't is because I do not like anything that's scary at all. Like I don't like scary movies. I don't want like suspense is like enough for me. Like if I watch something suspenseful, I don't like it. Thank God, my wife doesn't like it either. So we don't live.
It's a win-win. It's funny. I'm also not big on the horror genre,
right.
But Stranger Things I think has enough comedy and enough heart and enough nostalgia to where it has me in. But there's definitely some. The fact that some kids watch the show, I see some moments I was like, there's no way as a young kid that I would watch this. So when I watch this after the kids fall asleep at night, the Hammer may walk to bed looking both ways.
I was going to say, does your wife cuddle you at night and say, okay, it's going to be okay?
Yeah, but I tried my best, and I think that's why I stumbled a bit, making Stranger Things fit into the Galaxy. So, if you're listening to this and you're a fan of the previews, challenge me. This is getting too easy. Yeah, I've got it down. How can I relate, something to the LA Galaxy game preview?
They need to give you like a topic and let you go at it with it. Like
I'm open to suggestions.
Okay, very good. All right, the LA Galaxy play against the San Jose Earthquakes. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff time, so a little bit later. That has to do with national television, and you know what? That's better getting to Dignity Health
Friday night. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I won't get home till like 1:30 a.m., but yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It all works. The LA Galaxy again, July 12th, Friday, 8 p.m. The game at Dignity Health Sports Park. Univision and Unamas. I believe this game will also be on Twitter because it usually is whenever it's on those two networks, so you can find it for Twitter on free. If you don't find it there, if you don't have a television, or really you should have, it's over the air on Univision. Usually you can find it. I don't think there's a cable.
If you're able to access this podcast, you probably have means, and especially if you have a Twitter account, use someone else's Twitter account.
That's fine. That works. Larry does it all the time, right? I mean, Larry figures that out. Anyway, so LA Galaxy 11-7-1, San Jose Earthquakes 8-7-4. The home record for the LA Galaxy 7-3-0, and the road record for San Jose a 1-4-3. They only have 6 points on the road all year. Overall, all-time meeting between these two teams is severely lopsided whenever you take into the home form. So if you look all-time, 31, 23, and 15 for the LA Galaxy. I believe that includes 2 shootouts, by the way, because these are old teams, unless you consider that San Jose actually moved to Houston and it's the Dynamo and blah, blah, blah.
Right, and their former time as the Clash, if you count that as well.
Oh, yes, that's also fun as well. But the all-time meetings at home, so at home for the LA Galaxy is extremely lopsided, 26-6 over those 32.
26.
Yeah.
26
and 6. So 20 wins, 6 losses, 6 draws. The San Jose Earthquakes have only won 6 times at StubHub Center, Dignity Health Sports Park, Home Depot Center. Yeah, those 3 places over the entire thing. So, I mean, and you look at the waveform as well. I'm already leading you down the path of where I'm going to go with this game. You look at the LA Galaxy, 2nd in the Western Conference, 3rd in the Supporters Shield. San Jose, 6th in the Western Conference, and they've been rocketing forward, 12th in the Supporters Shield right now. The LA Galaxy have won 4 of their last 6 games, which is getting lost right now in a lot of whenever you look before that, right? People are factoring in a lot of it, but they've won 4 of their last 6.
And especially when you look at the form guide around the league, there are a lot of draws that pop up, and the Galaxy are really, they win or they lose, which, mathematically, if they're winning more of them, that's going to, we've talked about this before, how that ends up working in their favor as long as you win. Again, good science here. Yeah. As long as you win more than you lose.
There you go. Good job.
But when you draw, when you have those close games, you'd rather lose some close ones, but you end up rebounding and winning the next ones. But I think that the key is the away game. So San Jose's away form not there, as well as they've been playing under Almeida. But when they go away from the friendly confines of their home, their record just isn't there, and especially when they come down to Los Angeles. And so I think that's a factor, and the fact that they've played a game in between. They played on July 3rd at Minnesota. Right. And then they played on Saturday as well. Yep. So I think that's the difference, whereas the Galaxy played on the 4th of July on Thursday, and they've had a week plus a day. So, again, San Jose still gets rest, but they're on less rest than the Galaxy right now.
Yeah, and it's certainly, again, we talk about betting the schedule, and that's one of the things. The other things that obviously factors in is that the LA Galaxy, Guillermo Barros-Schelotto said it, Zlatan Ibrahimovic said it, Dave Romney said it after the 3-0 loss to San Jose, and I know there's lots of people out there who want to say that, and I've heard it, I keep saying that the LA Galaxy got plastered last time. It was a 1-0 game in the 82nd minute. That means something, all right? Just the same as the Toronto game was a very even affair, and it didn't get broken open until that second half, really, and it was the goal that broke it open. These are even affairs. The Galaxy did not get played off the field. They did not get scored off the field. One of those is a redirected. I mean, once the ball goes in, the second goal goes in that 82nd minute, the game was over.
It was done.
Yeah, that was it, and you understood that.
And the other factor that you didn't mention is they were also without Jonathan Dos Santos, without Uriel Antun, and that was one of those games where you say we really could have used Jonathan Dos Santos in that game.
Yeah.
And if they have him in this one and they're at home, that could be an ultimate factor in deciding who wins.
The other big thing that Dave Romney certainly highlighted after the game in San Jose, and because I went up there, all this stuff sticks in my mind whenever you're actually talking to the players and remembering what you saw, is that that San Jose plays that weird man marking system, and it has thrown other teams for a loop the first time they played them, but it was only 3 weeks ago. They figured it out in the second half a little bit.
Now they know what to expect.
They know what to expect. So, I mean, if you're Almeida, do you switch it up again? I mean, I almost thinking like, hey, let's not play that. He
is the mind flayer.
Yes, that's what I heard.
We'll see what he does.
That's what I heard. So anyway, so that's sort of where it stands. Obviously, Chris Wondolowski is their leading goal scorer with 8 goals. Christian Espinosa has 8 assists for San Jose. This is a game that the LA Galaxy should and will win. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Do I think it's a giant score? I think these two teams are pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's like a 2-1 game for me, or it's not separated by a lot. It'll probably be a lot closer than people will expect it to be, but it's going to be as close as that game was up at San Jose at Stanford Stadium.
I'm picturing more goals. I think like a 3-2.
Could be.
And the Galaxy's margin of victory, just they don't seem to have that 3-0, 4-0.
No.
They don't. This team doesn't seem to have that game in them. So I imagine them, scoring the goals, getting, a fully healthy roster and starting to click. I could see them scoring goals against San Jose, but I think they'll give up some goals as well. If you put in your Rolfs or your Shelviks who are maybe a little bit rusty, I think that leaves yourself open to get scored on.
If you're looking for what I would predict as sort of a starting lineup, I think that Jorgen Shelvik may actually, and remember, I should also point out, Diego Palentas is suspended for this game, or at least I've been told that he's suspended for this game.
That is important to note. That is a loss.
Yeah. And
tough.
so he was 1 yellow card away last game. He got the yellow card. He's now suspended, so he will not be there. So that means that Jorgen Shelvik probably plays on the left. It means Giancarlo Gonzalez and Daniel Steres take up that center position. In my mind, it's still Julian Araujo out at right back, and I certainly don't want to just throw Rolf Felcher in there, but we'll see what happens.
I was going to say, that's what it should be in your opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Rolf out there.
I wouldn't. It's not going to surprise me. I'm not going to fall over or do anything like that. On the right-hand side, I would expect that it's probably Oriel Antuna, because you're going to have Ima Boateng on the left, because I'm not expecting Chris Pontius or Sebastian Lletget to play a significant role in this game. Lletget, not at all. Pontius maybe as a sub. So that's one of those things in the center. You're going to be looking at Favio Alvarez, Corona, and
Dos Santos.
Jonathan Dos Santos. Yep,
and
absolutely.
So you move Kitchen to the bench there. Who if you're winning late in the game, that's the guy you want to bring in to kill the game.
Yeah, and that's a real possibility that happens there. So that's good. I like that there.
Who do you have playing up front?
I don't know. It's going to be real tough. Efrain Alvarez? Yeah, you're going to start him, right? It's going to be Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I think that Efrain Alvarez will be given a chance in this game, and it could be for somebody like Boateng, depending on what it is. Now, the other side of this is that they could move Uriel Antuna over to the left-hand side, put Boateng on the bench, and put Efrain Alvarez on the right-hand side like he did.
I don't hate that.
It's not.
I don't hate that at all.
Here's the positives from that is that Efrain Alvarez gets another chance at starting
at
home, so he has the home crowd, he has all that stuff, and you get to bring Boateng off the bench as a speedy substitute, and that could be game-changing.
Yeah.
So those,
I like it.
Those are things.
I'd be happy with either one of those options.
So that's sort of what my thinking is in terms of what GBS could do, and he could do a whole bunch of things whenever you really look at it. But from the players who look like they're going to be ready and for all those things, this seems like it's a likely outcome. For me, it's an LA Galaxy win. It should be a win. The history's on the side. What does 538 say?
You know I'm going to bring up 538. It's just like my intros. 538 in my intros. It's your thing. 538 has the LA Galaxy with a 58% chance to win, 21% draw, 21% loss. So that's a pretty high percentage when you look around the league, a pretty big expectation. And 538, the way they have their power rankings, kind of has everything's pretty settled, pretty close to the way it shakes out in the MLS standings. So the Galaxy look to be a much better team than San Jose, but we'll see. Given how recently they've played each other, that might be a factor, and you can coin flip it a little bit. But Galaxy at home, given their history, given the players they're getting back, I think they win this one.
LA native in the chat room gives us a little Pavon update. Pavon starting versus the Xolos. So Boca Juniors versus the Xolos of
he has to
Tijuana.
Get here first.
About to get. He's close, right? He's close. Just a little. It's a little car ride.
I don't know if that'd be his first start.
Yeah,
he might come in off the bench if he's available. But I don't. We'll see if let's get there first.
That's the guy I was going to say. Don't just. It doesn't seem like that's happening quickly. Now that being said, that means that it's tomorrow they sign him, and
or the opposite.
Yeah.
Deal fell through. Pavon's not coming.
Pavon's not coming at all. So we'll certainly see how that goes. All right. Let's. Is there anything else you want to get to? I think we've
good.
covered it all.
I'm wearing the shirt. I've had mezcal. I've done my Stranger Things intro.
You're good. Yeah.
I'm feeling really good right now.
All right. Again, we are going to be giving away these shirts that we have. We're not giving away the bottle though, because I think you and I probably need to taste sample that a little bit more. So we'll do that. And then, again, hit up Eric as we look for this game on Friday. You're going to already have to have a ticket, have to be 21 and older. But we're going to sort of make our selections, and there's no criteria that we're going to release. So, tell us why you should be there.
We're the League's Cup of podcasts.
Exactly. We're going to have ball racks. Is that what it means? Is it ball racks? Yeah. They're going to be ball racks inside the Speakeasy? Is that how it works? No.
I'd be careful with that.
I would understand. All right. Eric, then tell people where they can find you, and we'll get on out of here.
You can find me on Twitter at GISHammer. You could also hear me on the Guys in Shorts podcast. You can find them at Guys in Shorts Pod. Then you could always follow me on Instagram with a professional foul. You could see who Dennis Teclosa is following. Got you all covered with that club periphery there. So that's at Galaxy Profile. That's Galaxy Profoul.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Cornerofthegalaxy.com, you can read the excellent article by the Hammer himself whenever he was not hammered. He did a good job, so you want to take a good look and good read through that. And then, of course, head on over to our site for the podcast and all of our other coverage of the LA Galaxy, including Larry Morgan's notebook that I will eventually have to put up later tonight. All right, I think that about does it for us tonight. For Eric, the Portuguese Hammer, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.